trouble getting on an airplane?
Not really.
No?
But there is some anxiety there, right? Because I like to be in control and...
Oh, well, unless you're going to become the pilot then.
Exactly.
It's not
right?
going to happen, is it?
No.
And even then, what people don't realise is, after having a pilot on one of our courses, what people don't realise is that being in control of an airplane, that many people who are frightened of flying say, is not always the safest thing, because they're then responsible for everybody else's life. So
yes.
It's there we go, we're flying now. And it's the anxiety is going to be there, whatever we call it, free floating anxiety, because
right.
it will just attach to the next thing. So if you're not frightened of one thing, if the anxiety is there, it would just kind of attach to something else. So
see,
yeah,
I don't think anxiety is always negative.
No, it depends how you frame it in your mind. Is
right.
it excitement?
Well, it depends on what you're anxious about. Right? Like every morning when I go to work and I get in the bus, I'm anxious about, like I have to do a walk around. They call it a pre-trip. So I have to check the tires, check the oil, check the other fluids, make sure there's no damage from yesterday or broken windows or that kind of thing, right? I have to make sure that I can do what I can. I mean, I'm not going to crawl under and check the brakes, but I have to do what I can to make sure that that vehicle is safe. So there is some anxiety there, but it's a positive anxiety.
Well, this is just in terms of naming conventions, a bit of a mix-up, because I've said to Teresa in the past, it's amazing that any of us communicate, because we use the same words to mean different things. And what you're talking about, I'd call vigilance. It's good to be vigilant, it's good to look at and to know what could go wrong, so that you aim in the direction of things going right. Well, I know that there could be a problem with this, so let's check that out. No, that's okay. That being vigilant is different to being anxious. And what you're calling perhaps negative anxiety is our imagination thinking that things could go wrong. And almost sometimes the more knowledgeable a person is, the more aware they are of all the things that could go wrong. You weren't half as, if we want to call it anxious, you weren't half as anxious as you are as a parent before you were a parent, because then you're looking after, you're responsible for somebody else's life, So
well, that's what I mean. Like I'd rather have a pilot get on a plane and flip the switch twice than not flip it at all.
Yeah.
Right? Because I got this. I don't care. Whatever. I know what I'm doing.
Whoa.
As opposed to a guy who's like flicks the switch and is like, "Did I flip the switch? Oh yeah, I did. Okay." You know what I mean? Like that the anxious guy is more comforting than the cocky guy or the arrogant guy.
Yeah.
But it's not anxiety to the point where he's like, I can't get on this plane. Right? Like, because there's restrictive anxiety, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you can't do anything because you're just so nervous about what could happen. Like, I'm going to get on the bus and do everything I can to make sure it doesn't explode. Or I'm not getting on that bus because it's going to explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
so not all negative is bad.
Yeah, and again, it's just about what we call these things.
Yeah.
They say in NLP, people are not their behaviours. Because the same guy, let's take the pilot. Let's say the pilot is waiting in some zone that you happen to be in. For some reason you recognise, oh, that's our pilot. Hey, Teresa, that's our pilot. And one person might think, oh, he's a smarmy person, because he thinks he's going all under control. Somebody else might think he's a cocky bastard, excuse me, knows everything, does he? Another person might think, well, he seems a bit anxious to me, you know. He's talking about has such and such been checked, has such and such been checked. Another person might call him confident. You know, we judge other people by our own behaviours and how we think a person ought to be behaving in that role at that time, in that situation, for whatever. And this is where we can tie ourselves up in knots, thinking that a situation isn't going to go well. Because, you know, Roger Moore?
Yes.
James Bond, right. The other night there was a film, For Your Eyes Only, on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Roger Moore was my least favoured Bond. So, as a child, when the Bond films were on, I just didn't like him. I, in my head, would call him smarmy as a child.
Right.
And then, as I was watching it, I watched it as an adult and put everything to one side, and I thought, this is pretty good, actually. This is quite funny. Because as a child I was watching them as if they were dangerous films or people were in danger, and he was making like sexual innuendo comments or whatever. I didn't like it. You know, you're supposed to be protecting the nation. How ridiculous. Right. I took it so seriously. But from this different perspective, I see it differently. I think, oh, he was the oldest Bond. Did you know that? He was the oldest Bond, which I didn't know. So I googled it afterwards and I thought, oh, fancy me thinking so badly of this actor, who's now dead, of course. But he did a good job. And there was me condemning him as a child, that he shouldn't be behaving that way.
Well, I can't disagree with you. You should be saving the world, not trying to get, you know, some on the side. Like, seriously, control your urges, man. Defuse the bomb, undress the girl. That's not the other way around. Like,
yeah.
You know.
So it's just about perspectives, I suppose. And I'm also kind of trying to prove to you that those are always changing. We see them changing more through age when we look back. But they're changing all the time because of the information that we're getting and the perspectives that we've got that change. Which brings me to my point. How have things been? And how do you think you want things to be different now?
Things are actually really good this week.
Good.
Me and Teresa went away for a couple of days, just the two of us. We left Saturday afternoon and drove up by Whistler, and then stayed the night there, and then drove through the Fraser Valley, the Fraser Canyon, and saw some things, and yeah, it was fun.
See, this is where I'm forgiving myself, because that's where I thought you were on holiday. Because I saw a couple of posts and I thought, oh, they've gone. I thought it wasn't until later in the month, but I thought you'd gone. You see, I thought you were on holiday. So
no, that was it. Sorry.
Impromptu.
We're going Sunday. We're going for 4 days with the boys and the dog.
Something about taking the dog that's been off there. Yeah. I think when I've got our dog in the car for more than 20 minutes or so, it's a bit of a trial. Plenty of kitchen.
The dog will be fine. It's the kids that...
Oh.
I mean, it's kind of good that she's coming, because she'll sit between them, and if they try to get on bug each other, she will nip it in the bud.
Very good. You're taking your own babysitter?
Yes. Yeah, maybe we could leave them in the room with the dog. We'll go out. It'll be fine.
So what have you noticed that's different, and what perhaps you want improvement upon?
Honestly, it's just I don't rightly know. To be honest, nothing really seemed to bother me this week. So, you know, I mean, no more than like a normal person reacts to.
Normal now, are you?
Oh, I'm not normal. No.
Don't do that.
No. Normal is like a very offensive word to me. You can call me old. You can call me fat. Just don't call me normal. We'll have a problem. It just, because, well, Ethan came to me when he was younger, and he says, Dad, I'm not normal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, thank God. And he kind of looked at me, and I said, dude, do you know what normal means? And he's like, no. I said, it means average. If you're normal, you're just like everybody else. Mm. Please don't be normal. Please don't be a sheep. Like, you know, to go be, you don't have to go and be an idiot, but just, you know, be different.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if everybody's walking, you know, jog. If everyone's jogging, run. If everyone's running, skip. Like, just don't do what everyone else does. So when you're a little kid, it's a little hard. But as you get to an adult, then, you know, you're not weird, you're unique. Mm. Right? Mm-hmm. And you just keep going until you find someone that thinks you're unique, not weird.
Oh,
but to be weird is good. Like,
yeah.
You know, the last thing in the world I want to be is average.
No, definitely not. But you brought it up. You brought it up. You said the word normal.
Oh yeah, no. It's like an average person.
Yeah.
Would react to certain things a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think I've acted outside of that.
Has there been more pleasure?
Yes, simply because there has been less disappointment.
Yeah. Good.
So the time I'm not being angry is obviously more pleasurable. So
yeah,
I would say yes, definitely more pleasure.
Good. Yeah. Because that's ultimately what everybody's aiming towards, though we don't often know what's in our best interests. Usually it's somebody else pointing it out to us. It's weird the way our mind works. I've had a couple of encounters over the past couple of days of what I might call pleasant situations, and neighbours here have been in uproar. Somebody's been tidying the back of the gardens here, and they've got a petrol strimmer and stuff, and the big changes have happened which have really improved things. And that the same neighbour that was sounding off about everything going wrong yesterday knocked the door and started moaning about it. And within moments, I'm not saying I'm an incredible powerful person, but I'm an incredibly powerful person, because I didn't want to hear him moaning. Every moan that he said, I counted. And it is disabled as well. So all down the right hand side is he holds his arm strangely and whatever. And I said, which is really, really, I mean, if this was a work situation, I would never. It was really unpolitically correct. But as he was going off on a roll about how terrible everything was, I asked him about his arm. And he says, oh, you don't know, it's all down the one side, you know, have you never noticed? And I thought, I just wondered how it had happened. Thinking in my mind, well, I've helped lots of people who've had heart attacks and then they can't move their arm properly and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wondered if I could help him. I wanted him to feel better so that I could feel better, you know, because he keeps being negative about stuff. And he said it's been since birth, and then as he was talking, I was just able, just through conversation, it was only about 10 minutes because he was at my door, only 10 minutes, I was able to get him to recognise that what they've done at the back is actually great. It's really an improvement, and it's not the invasion of privacy that he thought it was, and life isn't that bad, you know. And he went off really happy, and I wished I'd filmed that. I really do, because people generally, myself included, get ourselves really tangled up sometimes in circumstance and how bad we think something is, when somebody else, if they don't agree with us, can give us a different perspective. And he fully expected me to agree with him about how terrible life was. I'm in my own house, I'm not going to agree with that. I'm not going to agree with that. And the only way I could get rid of him was to change his attitude so that he went away happy, And now the next time he sees me, he'll be happy again, because I'm his happy anchor.
Yeah. Oh, and people are strangely funny. Because the people that complain about the back garden being overrun with weeds will be the same people that complain that somebody's out there weed whacking with the string trimmer.
Yeah. You can always find something negative, because now all the wildlife will have gone. Now there's no greenery. Now there's no... But you're right, probably a year ago he would have been the same person moaning about it being so overgrown you can't park your car there.
Right.
It's like I say, like with that free-floating anxiety I spoke about. When somebody's in a mood, they're in a mood. And they'll find anything. They'll just pick anything. Yeah. And so if you don't change the mood, you're never going to make that person happy by trying to point out something that's positive, because it's their mood. And we're all moody buggers, really. So we've got to work on the mood and things that we can do to uplift us when we feel crappy. Yeah. Especially if there's nobody about to do that for you, And especially if you're at work and you've got that woman, you've got to do it for yourself, because you've realised you can't help some people. And then you've got to hold on to our own mood sometimes. If we hold on to our own mood and keep ourselves elevated, finally they come along. But they can bring you down too. But when you're both in a good mood, like you and Teresa are in this impromptu little holiday thing, that must have been brilliant. That must have been great.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. Especially when it wasn't perhaps as planned as other things have been, maybe. Because
no, it was kind of we booked a hotel the morning of going. So Saturday morning I booked a hotel, and then Saturday evening we checked in. So it was kind of, and then Sunday was, we weren't sure if we were going to drive, we kind of went on a scenic drive, but we could have spent the night somewhere else, but we were, we just ended up back at home.
Yeah.
Kids were happy, and we were happy, and the dog was alive, so that was good.
Yay! Hey.
Yeah. The dog was really happy to see us.
Yeah. So. I'll bet.
Yeah. I don't think they let her out. On the same schedule that Teresa lets her out, so.
Freedom!
Yeah.
And the dog doesn't know he's got a big adventure coming up either.
I think she senses something. So.
So what we're going to do with you then?
I don't know.
So the last thing that we did, I don't know if you remember, but we were working on positivity and looking for what's positive at an unconscious level. Because we had the negative lady at the workplace. And so that kind of, you wanting to attach to the positive is fabulous. But we can take it from there, if you like, to even we can reinforce that and make it more long-lasting, and we can add elements to that of happiness, looking forward to the future, and anchoring positive states. I mean, if you just want Okay.
Is that a Scooby-Doo on your table?
Yes, can you see my Scooby-Doo?
I can see Scooby-Doo. He's staring at me.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
That was Ethan's absolute favoriteest cartoon growing up. It was an absolute Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
This, when it was bought, was much bigger than Amy. And it was ever so strange when I found it out, as all my storage is here, so to speak. When I found it out, in my mind, it's 10 times bigger than this. Because
yes.
For some reason I've got the perspective of Amy being so small and it being so big. And when it came out, I thought this was massive. I thought this was gigantic. But it's big enough.
Well, it's like Ethan said the same thing. One night he had chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
And he was looking at it, and he'd had a couple of drinks with his friends. He's looking at it and goes, these used to be way bigger. Like, no, dude, your hand used to be way smaller. Like, they haven't changed the size of the chicken nuggets since they brought them out. But, you know, you did grow a little bit since you were 4.
It's all perspective.
So I just remember them being, like, so big. No, you remember your hands being so small.
It just shows, doesn't it? We're always looking outside of ourselves, not for those things in relation to us, but it's people on the outside, of course, see both things, but we're looking out our eyes. So,
well, you don't change, like, to your own eyes.
Yeah.
Like, your hands are. I mean, obviously, when I was a baby, my hands were much smaller, but I can't remember a time when they were smaller. You know.
It's like, do you get this as well? Do men get this as well? That you're walking along and you suddenly see a bloke in a shop window, and then you realise it's you. What? I don't see a bloke, I see a woman. Oh, it's me. I just didn't.
Yeah, I get that every day, because I have an image of what I look like.
Yeah.
And then I see a mirror, and it's like, oh, that's what I look like. And I'd be like, as soon as I turn around and leave, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm good again. Right? Because I have this idea in my head of when I looked my best. And that's just my image of myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And looking down, it's like, okay, my stomach's not that bad. And then I look on the side view in the mirror, and it's like, oh, no, it is. Okay, that's...
Yeah, we don't want the side views. We don't like...
No, I don't like... Teresa loves mirrors. I hate mirrors. So my house is full of mirrors.
Do you know, you have to tell her then, she ought to know this, should never have a mirror in the bedroom. I know people do for sexy time, but you should never have a mirror in the bedtime. Things that reflect back. If you do, feng shui wise, you're supposed to cover all the mirrors up when you sleep. So, there we go.
We don't actually have one in the bedroom, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, then.
Because that, honestly, if I saw myself in the mirror before sexy time would not happen.
It is strange, though, isn't it? It's much better to have a positive image of oneself and then catch oneself in the mirror and go, oh. But the thing about the sideways view, because we look in the mirror, we usually look full on, don't we? The thing about the sideways views, other people are seeing that all the time, aren't they? But it's okay if we don't see it. It's all right. It's all right.
I'm more than happy not looking at myself in a mirror. I mean, the other 7.5 billion people on the planet, well, it's you get what you get. But for myself, it's fantastic. So.
Right, let's do our thing then. I'm going to do a kind of short induction, as it's called.
Okay.
So I want to, well, let's just go for it. So I want you to get yourself into your comfortable position, and as comfortable as you now are, make sure that you're 10 times more comfortable than you are right now. Your unconscious mind knows how to do that. And you've allowed your eyes to close, which is great. Though, to help you now, I would like you to allow, and again be very aware of the word, allow your eyes to gently flutter open and fix them on a point on the ceiling. So look at a high point, whether it's on the wall or the ceiling. That's it, and just keep staring at that spot. Keep looking, and as you are looking, just recognise now that the muscles in the eyelids are the tiniest muscles in the entire body and the easiest to close. And as your eyes remain open, recognise now the willingness and the wanting of those eyes, those tiny little muscles in the eyelids, to allow the eyes to close. Nothing would give you greater pleasure than to allow them to close. And every time you blink those eyes, as you have been, they'll blink for longer, and you'll enjoy the pleasure of the eyes being closed more, until finally they close down so heavily that they remain closed, and you feel that sense of relief to finally allowing the body to do what the body is capable of. Allow now your body to sink down into the chair and feel some relief. There's no place for you to go and nothing for you to do. The loudest sound you hear is the sound of my voice, and everything else just washes over you and helps you to relax.